heart back into your business and the gift of inner success. And I'm founder of Soul Leader. And I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here on your journey. And thanks for visiting this About Us, About Me page. I just wanted to say just a little bit about me and a little bit about leadership, because all the rest of the journey is going to be about you, whether it is here that you're here on Soul Leader because you're interested in my leadership course, whether it is that you're interested in inspiring interviews, the top tips, the podcast, or all the other goodies that we have here. My own journey began at the age of 18 when I left school and I'd done my A-levels and I joined the workplace in a wonderful organisation, actually. And I worked in media and communications, and my job over a period of time was about promoting the organisation. And after a while, I became responsible for training people to appear on TV and radio. I became a trainer and a media trainer. And I often would represent the organisation in the media, including on national TV and radio, and putting lots of other people to do the same. I was involved in the reputation of the organisation and that key part of the organisation, dealing with all sorts of senior people. And I had to become used to it in my job role, dealing with all sorts of people, from editors to journalists to the chief executive to senior managers through to researchers and people throughout the organisations, people at all levels throughout the organisation. And then after 10 years, I became redundant. I pursued what at that time was my passion, and I wanted to become a very, very, very successful singer. That didn't happen, but along that journey, a number of other things did happen along that singing and performing journey. I became really, really interested. Well, two things happened to me, actually. One of them was I had time on my hands, so I actually became a Samaritan volunteer, and I became a volunteer at the largest branch of the Samaritans in the UK, which is the Central London branch. And after a while, I became the co-director of that branch, and that was my first real foray into leadership, myself being in a leadership role. And then what was happening at the same time was like this interest that I'd always had in training and development and so on. It took more of a hold, and I actually trained as a coach. That journey was 20 years ago. And for the last almost 20 years, I have been a coach, a motivational speaker and trainer, and I've worked with all sorts of people. Yes, I've worked with people in the public eye. I've worked with celebrities, high achievers, leaders, executives, you name it. I've worked with them. I became the life and business coach partner to the British Library's Business and Intellectual Property Centre, where I work with all sorts of entrepreneurs starting and growing their own particular businesses. And that ties in with the book Soul Trader, which is all about business from the heart. But then one of the things that became very interesting, and that one of the things that's been the case in the 10 years plus since the publication of Soul Trader, is that most of my work in recent years, in the last 10 years, has been working in organisations. And this is interesting for me for a number of reasons, because after I became made redundant from my first job, I had vowed to myself I never wanted to work full-time for an organisation again. And interestingly, some of my roles after that, even though that they were more senior, I felt after that, and as I began my coaching career, I didn't ever want anything to do with organisations because sometimes they could be toxic, because of the challenges, because of some of the politics and all of that stuff that many of us are very, 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 very familiar with. But one of the things that became very, very interesting after 10 years of successful coaching all of these people, entrepreneurs, entertainers, people in the public and the public eye, and people like you and me on the point of career change, more and more people were asking me to do work within organisations, and that's where I've spent most of the 10 years. And I've worked with large organisations, some of the world's largest organisations like the National Health Service, NHS, running some award-winning career development programs, leadership development programs, working with leaders and staff people on that particular journey, worked with organisations like the civil service. But I've also worked in other organisations, and much smaller organisations, growing businesses and business in all different sector, in all sorts of different sectors, from creative sectors through to more kind of technology-based sector businesses, but all businesses that are all essentially about people. And my interest throughout my entire career, from day one, has always been about the work of the heart. I became known quite early on for my Become Who You Are approach, which is really about finding oneself, about fulfillment and inner peace from within. That's where the book, The Gift of Inner Success, came in, and many of my talks, and actually what Soul Trader, putting the heart back into your business, is all about. And Soul Leader is really a culmination of the last 10 years work, where I've been working with organizations of all types, and particularly working with people who are leaders, people who are starting out, people who are stuck or struggling, and those leaders who are moving up. And as we know, there's a whole range of challenges. As you know, there are a whole range of challenges. Who am I? Why am I here? How do I find my voice? How is it that I influence? How is it I can develop my team and my staff? Or maybe I don't have staff. It may well be that I've got all of these different stakeholders that I'm needing to influence. I've got my whole life balance. How am I going to balance that? How is it I'm going to be able to develop the people I'm supporting or leading or managing and all the rest of it, whatever words I put around it? And of course, that's set against the context of the challenges that we have in our organization, the personalities, the politics, the procedures, all of those practicalities, all of that stuff, all of those kind of dynamics. How is it that we navigate our way through all of those things? How does that we're also able to do our work on purpose, purposefully by following the heart? Because that's the thing that all of the people I've worked with over the years have in common. They're wanting to be authentically themselves, authentic leaders, finding their authentic self. They're wanting to work from the heart. They're wanting to connect with the hearts of their customers and their colleagues, and the people who it is that they're serving, all of their stakeholders. How is it they can be authentic? So if you're on this journey of being authentically yourself, then you're in the right place. And what you'll find here on Soul-Leader really captures the approach that I first began in Soul Trader with with those principles that you'll recognize: clarity. Who am I? Why am I here? Who's this organization? What they're about? What is it we're trying to achieve? All the goals and all the strategy, all of that stuff. The customers and colleagues and key players. Who are they? How do they see the world? How do I influence them? What's their psychology? All of that stuff. The courage of being authentically yourself, the courage of you challenging, the courage of you making moves, staying, going, moving up, dealing with all sorts of complex challenges, the people and the personalities, the courage to be you. Cooperation. Be it that it is about your leading a team. How is it that you're able to motivate, inspire, and empower them? How is it, or it might be that you don't have stuff, how is it that you're able to build all of those rich relationships that you're going to need in order to succeed? All those stakeholders, the customer relationships, cooperation, conversations. I have a saying that communication is the breath or death of every relationship. My entire career, from being a trainer, from working in media and communications, from being a singer and performer, from being a Samaritans volunteer and co-director, being a trainer, all of the things that I've done has all been about communication. That's where so much stuff lives and dies. So how is it that we're able to have those really powerful, heartfelt conversations and connect, that convert customers, that create opportunities, that gain us that job, that promotion, that win people over, that add to our profitability? So there's the conversations piece. Then there's the creativity. Creativity is all about efficiency. It's all about productivity. It's all about the life balance, because there are so many different challenges. It's about being strategic and logical on the one hand, but it's also about being creative, innovative, and intuitive, and blending all of those things together. So it's about creativity, but it's also about compassion, being authentically yourself, following your heart. We live in a world which is diverse customers. How is that we can lead with integrity, with inclusivity, with equity, with real compassion and real heart, and being kind to ourselves and others? I have a saying that from the head alone, transformational leadership is almost impossible. From the heart, it is inevitable. Finally, change. Everything's going to be change. It's going to be all change. You're going to change. The industry can change. Maybe you've changed roles many times in your life and your career, like myself. Maybe it is that you're wanting to bring about change. We soul leaders are the change makers. And very often why it's called soul leader is that sometimes you might feel as though you're the only person. But you are not the only person, but it can feel like that way. So how is it that you're able to be authentic on that particular leadership challenge and to be able to follow that path? What you'll find here on Soul Leader is a whole range of things to help you. This is my Soul Leader course, where I've distilled all the knowledge that I work with and the tools, many tools on that leadership journey to help you on that leadership journey and to navigate all the things that we've talked about, that I work with day in and day out when I'm working with the organizations that I've distilled for you into a course where I'm there supporting you step by step, chapter by chapter through the Soul Leader course. You'll find that. But you'll also find lots more as well, and lots of other stuff that may well be a way in for you. You'll find our inspiration section where you'll find the podcast, which is coming soon. It might actually be there by the time you watch this. My inspiring interviews, where I interview all sorts of the leaders that I've worked with, met with, some who I'm coached, some who it is that I've worked together with through various ways, and other people that I've met and have been pointed to me from all sorts of fields and all sorts of sectors, from enterprise to entertainment, sport to public life, through public sector, private companies, and so on. A whole range of leaders that I'll be interviewing, where they'll be sharing their insights and their journey to inspire us on that particular journey. You'll also find the podcast. What the podcast is all about is that the podcast is really about lifting that lid on leadership and the day-to-day issues, where we're going to be talking about many of those issues that will be affecting you day-to-day. Inspiration from me to you. And also you'll find my top tips too, my leadership essentials, 1 to 3 minute bite-sized bits that can just inspire you and energize you on your way throughout the day-to-day. So thank you so much for being here. I want to welcome you really warmly from the bottom of my heart here to Soul Leader. And Soul Leader is really part of my life's work. And my life's work, my mission, is all about raising our consciousness and our compassion. Because interestingly, since we've had society, there's been consciousness, there's been compassion, but whilst in the world that we live in, all sorts of things that advance, from technology through to medicine, all of the things that we'll see, artificial technology, all the places that we are now, all of the advances that we've seen through business, through enterprise, through organizations and so on. Interestingly, our levels of compassion and consciousness have not risen. And for us to remain relevant as a species in these changing times, and challenging times, we're going to need to be able to connect from the heart if we're going to remain relevant as a species, and for us to continue to serve the customers that we serve, and for us to lead with authenticity and with integrity. And that's what everybody who I meet is really, really wanting. So Soul Leader is not just about your journey as a leader. It's also about to support your journey in life and with your life balance and by following your heart, so that you're able to make a real impact in your world and in your work. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.